Hi everyone, my name is Vina, aka Miss WOC Reader, and welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to talk to you about the Missy Elliot Readathon. So this readathon is by my friend Cache from Shay with the Hobbies. If you don't already follow her, definitely check her out. She always has great recs, and if you are an aspiring author, she has great writing tips. But she did this readathon last year and it was really fun, and I think it's going to be just as fun this year. I know for me, I don't quite have my TBR together yet. I'm still putting it together, but I do have a lot of options, especially books on my shelf. And I know people like options with readathons, so I wanted to come here with some recs to not only help promote this readathon that not enough people are talking about, but also to make sure you read books that are blackity black 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 for February. So the first prompt is Why You Hurt Me, a piece of short fiction by a black author. And I actually have two recs for this, and the nice thing about them is you can either read the words or listen to the audio, and they are very short. It might take you like 45 minutes at the most to read. The first one is 3 AM Eternal by Eden Royce. Some of you may know Eden Royce from her book Root Magic. This one is like an adult story. It is about a woman who is half witch, and her mother is lost and she's looking for her throughout the story, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But I will leave the link down below where you can access the story. And then the next one is Open 27 Hours by LP Kindred. Again, I will leave it linked down below, and this one has time travel, aliens, and a very memorable meal. The next prompt is Izzy Izzy Ahh, a book with an onomatopoeia in the title, which I heard onomatopoeia and I freaked out. I'm like, what the hell is that? Your girl was sitting here Googling, and an onomatopoeia is just a word that sounds like how you say it. So again, your girl was struggling here. But one of the books that fits that is Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo, which also happens to be a group pick for this readathon. So you can double up on prompts for this readathon, so this will definitely hit 2 marks if you pick that one up. And I do think this is a great book and a very quick read because of its novel and verse style. The next one I was thinking about was Ring Shout, which is by P. Djeli Clark, and that is another great one. It's a novella, so it's short, it's very fast-paced, and it's a great story. It features some black history, so that's another one to look at. The next prompt is Em Wit Da Hee, strong black female lead, which I have a lot of recs for this. I'm actually not quite sure what I'm reading yet for this prompt. I might read either Daughters of Oduma, which actually comes out next month on February 7th. And this one is by debut author Moses Ose Otumi, which I do have another book by Moses that's coming out. That's a novella. And I'm just going to read you the synopsis of this one to make it easy. This is the life of the girls who compete in the Isles' elite all-female fighting sport of bowing. But it isn't really Dirt's life anymore. At 16, she is old and has retired from competition. Instead, she spends her days coaching the younger sisters of the Mud Fam and dreading her fast-approaching birthday when she'll have to leave her sisters to fulfill whatever destiny the gods choose for her. Dirt's young sisters are coming along nicely, and the Mud Farm is sure to win the upcoming Godbow tournament, which is crucial. The tiny fam needs the new recruits that come with victory. Then an attack from a powerful rival leaves the Mud without their top bower, and Dirt is the only one who can compete in the tournament, but Dirt is old, out of shape, and afraid. Victory seems impossible, yet defeat would mean the end of her beloved fam, and no way is Dirt gonna let that happen. So again, that is Daughters of Oduma. So that is something that you can look into. You might be interested in reading it. And then I've had this one on my TBR for a while. I mentioned it a couple of times, so it's definitely something that I really do highly want to get to next month, which is The Monsters We Defy by L. Penelope. And so this one caught my eye because immediately that 1920s black historical fantasy, that's my jam. Clara Johnson can talk to spirits, a gift that saved her during her darkest moments, now a curse that's left her in debt to the cunning spirit world. So when a powerful spirit offers her an opportunity to gain her freedom, Clara seizes the chance, no questions asked. The task: steal a magical ring from the wealthiest woman in the district. Clara can't accomplish this daring heist alone. To pull off the impossible, she'll need the help of an unlikely team, from a handsome jazz musician able to hypnotize with a melody to an aging actor who can change his face. But as they race along DC's legendary Black Broadway, conflict in the spirit world begins to leak into the human one. An insidious mystery is unfolding, one that could cost Clara her life and change the fate of the entire city. Doesn't that sound good? Another one that I have is The Record Keeper. So I read this one back in 2020. I was really pushing people hard to read it. A lot of people put on their TBR, but not enough of y'all have read it. And I need y'all to read it so that you can read the second book so that we can have a discussion about it, because my mind is still all over the place from reading that one. So after World War III, Earth is in ruins and the final armies have come to a reluctant truce. Everyone must obey the law in every way or risk shattering the fragile peace and endangering the entire human race. Erica Cobain is on the threshold of taking her place of privilege as a member of the Congo elite after 10 grueling years of training. But everything changes when a new student arrives speaking dangerous words of treason. What does peace matter if innocent lives are lost to maintain it? As Erica is exposed to new beliefs, she realizes that the laws she has dedicated herself to uphold are the root of her people's misery. If Erica is to liberate her people, she must unearth her fierce heart and discover the true meaning of freedom, finding the courage to live or die without fear. So if you like dystopian novels, this one is definitely worth checking out. And then finally, another one that I love that not a lot of y'all are reading, and this is great for the romance girlies. It is Careless Whispers by Sunithia Williams. And while there are a couple of other books in the series, or specifically two and a prequel that come before this, you don't have to read it in order to enjoy it. They're like their own standalone stories. So Elena Robidoux knows how people view her: cold-hearted, ambitious, ruthless. But it doesn't matter. Running the family business is all she's ever wanted, and she's so close she can almost taste it. Until her father fires her and hires her nemesis, arrogant, unflappable Alex Tyson. Elena may be hurt, but she refuses to be defeated, so she throws herself into creating a business of her own. But she never dreamed that to close her first deal, she'd need Alex's help. Alex understands the power of a family legacy better than most, and the last thing he wanted was to take that from Elena. Her beauty and fierce strength are undeniable, but there's a softer side that no one but him seems to see. She's been taught that emotions are a liability, yet one impulsive kiss starts a chain reaction that neither of them wants to stop. But can love ignite and survive when secrets and loyalties collide? Again, this is one of my favorite romances. It's so good. And the audio narration, real good. Real good. So the next prompt is Pass the Blunt, a black book recommended to you by a black person. So yes, I do have some for that as well. And again, you can always double up prompts, so I will keep shoving this one down people's throats until more people read this one, and it is Forging a Nightmare by Patricia A. Jackson. A lot of y'all say y'all want fantasy that is set in the modern day that isn't all about racism. This right here. So it's really cool because it's kind of a play on like biblical lore and the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And I found the world really interesting. I liked the powers. It does start out feeling a little confusing as you get to know the terms, but there is a glossary in the back to help you out. And once you kind of understand, I think that if you want to listen to it via audiobook, it's a lot easier. And I just thought the characters were great. The main character is a black male, which is something we don't see a lot of in like fantasy as much as we want to. And this one was really actually like fun. It's kind of like a little bit of a procedural almost that blends in with an urban fantasy, so it's a really cool take. And then also I wanted to recommend Somebody That I Used to Know by Dana L. Davis, which is a contemporary that I read last year that I really love, that I don't hear anybody talking about. It was really, really good. So basically in that one, our main character has an old friend from her childhood come back to town, and he is this superstar singer who got into a little bit of trouble and was put under a conservatorship, and he's trying to show his mother that he's changed and he's responsible enough to go on this world tour. So they kind of start reconnecting and a little bit of romance sparks. And in the meantime, she's also trying to get into Juilliard, which is like her dream for years, and she has to find that balance between her love of violin and being able to just be fun, free, and enjoy the rest of her senior year. So the next prompt is Best Friends, a book co-authored by 2 or more Black people. I actually don't read a lot of co-authored books, so this was interesting to sit here and brainstorm. And luckily I do have 2 books for you guys that do fit. So Someone Had to Do It by Amber and Danielle Brown, which is like a thriller that I had read in the month of December. Very, very messy. A lot of spice if that's your thing. A lot of drama. And then another one of the group picks, which actually I was already trying to see if I could at least start reading it for the month of February. I had received it a couple months ago. That is Africa Risen, which is by various authors because it is an anthology. So those are 2 worth checking out. And the next prompt is I'm Talking. Read a book in a style you're not used to. So this is going to have a different interpretation for everybody. I think it really, really does depend on what you're normally reading. So one of the things that I have is nonfiction on my list. I'm not quite sure which I want to read yet for this one, but if you're into nonfiction, if you're not really into nonfiction and you want to read something, I do suggest reading Wake by Rebecca Hall. This is a nonfiction graphic novel. So graphic novel is actually one that I don't read that much, and I don't hear a lot of people on BookTube really talk about graphic novels too much. Aside from like Ashley from the Bookish Realm and Bree from the Lockbooktician, I read graphic novels like on and off. I do read a couple a year, but not nearly as much as I want to. So that's also something I'm thinking about doing for this prompt, trying to see what books I can get in graphic novel form. But this one is really good because it talks about history with these women-led slave revolts, but it's done in a way that is not very traumatic. I found that it wasn't too graphic. We're following Rebecca Hall and her research of these stories and how it takes her like across the pond all the way to England to try and figure out like and piece together these stories that are lost. So I found this one to be a quick read and really good. And then for me, another one that I had read recently that I'm actually thinking of probably continuing is Farmhand by Rob Guillory, which is like a sci-fi horror comic series, and I read volume 1, so I'm thinking I might pick up volume 2. And it is about this farm and the grandfather who runs this farm. They farm stem cells to create body parts, and so his son moves back to town after being gone away for so long, and crazy stuff starts happening. So that was very interesting and I think worth checking out, especially if you want to read more Black comics. The next prompt is Gettaway, a book not set in the US or UK. So I also have some great recs for that. So these are also books that I really wanted to get to. And the first one is Until I Met You by Amber Rose Gill, which is a holiday romance set in Tobago. And this one, I've been meaning to read it for a while and I kind of put it off. It is also co-written by Nadine Gonzalez. Her name is not on the cover, but she did help write it. It's on the inside. And I have read Nadine before, so I kind of like know her style from her Harlequin books. And this just seems like a really cute vacation romance. I also have The Vanishing Girls by Callie Browning, which is a romantic thriller type of story. So Holden Davis has enough problems: mounting debt, a lifelong feud with his brother, and his father's legacy to live up to. If he's honest with himself, he'll admit that hiring an assistant in the dead of night probably wasn't the smartest thing to do either. But life gets more complex when Holden's funeral home has to process the bodies left behind by a serial killer. The bodies start to mount up, but the clues don't. Meanwhile, Holden finds himself falling in love with his beautiful but mysterious assistant Eileen. Will forbidden love and a secret identity stop him from finding the killer? So, Callie Browning was born and raised in Barbados. This is set in Barbados in the 1980s. And then this one has been on my shelf looking pretty for a while. I might read this just because it has the audio available via Hoopla. A Tall History of Sugar by Cordella Forbes, which I've heard great things about. It sounds like a beautiful story. So, A Tall History of Sugar tells the story of Moshe Fisher, a man who was born without skin, so that no one is able to tell what race he belongs to. And Ariane Christie, his quixotic soulmate, who makes it her duty in life to protect Moshe from the social and emotional consequences of his strange appearance. The narrative begins with Moshe's birth in the late 1950s, 4 years before Jamaica's independence from colonial rule, and ends in the area of what Forbes calls the fall of empire, the era of Brexit and Donald Trump. The historical trajectory layers but never overwhelms the scintillating love story as the pair fight to establish their own view of loving against the moral force of the colonial plantation and its legacies that continue to affect their lives and the lives of those around them. Written in lyrical, luminous prose that spans the range of Jamaican Englishes, this remarkable story follows the couple's mysterious love affair from childhood to adulthood, from the haunted environs of rural Jamaica to the city of Kingston, and then to England, another haunted locale in Forbes' rendition. So, I think I might pick up this one. I do need to read this year. And those were all the prompts. So let me know if you're interested in participating in the Missy Elliot Readathon. I'd love to hear what you guys are reading. And if you like this video, make sure and hit that like button. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!